Now, in this lesson, we're going to talk about decarbonising transport and, in general, the future of transport. Now, why is this important? Well, let's look once again at where all the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is coming from. And the biggest sector is power, producing electricity, and we've already talked a lot about various ways we can decarbonise that. And that looks entirely feasible. Maybe not politically, but scientifically feasible and economically feasible. So let's assume that's all been decarbonised. We have solar farms and wind and nuclear to do all that. But then we've got to deal with the rest of consumption. Buildings, things like cooking, heating your water and heating the spaces inside the buildings, that's also something we technologically know how to do. We can have heat pumps. The basic mantra is electrify everything. We use heat pumps, which are very efficient. It means we're going to need more power, but electricity can heat houses and hot water and have induction stoves and so on. So again, technically at least, that's feasible. We need to make it happen, but it's feasible. But then we get to the other two big sectors, industry and transport. And transport's the next biggest one. It's currently about a quarter of the carbon dioxide emissions are coming from transport. Where are they coming from specifically? Well, actually it's dominated by roads. You might think that planes and ships are bad, but in fact roads dominate, and the biggest single factor is passenger cars, just people driving their own car around, also motorcycles, buses and taxis. And then road freight is also pretty substantial, all the trucks and delivery vans. Then we've got aviation and shipping, both at about the 10% level. But a problem is that transport emissions are growing about 1.6% a year. So this is getting worse and worse and worse. Basically, people are travelling more and shipping things around more. Why is that? Well, a lot of it's because the world's population is getting bigger. More people means more people travelling, more people going on holidays, more people ordering from Amazon, whatever it might be. And also it's economic growth. The world is getting richer, and richer people travel more than poor people. If you're a peasant farmer, you might never leave your village. If you're a billionaire, you might be cruising in your yacht all around the world and flying everywhere for holidays. And increases in efficiency, there have been enormous increases in efficiency. Cars are much more energy efficient, ships are much more energy efficient, planes are much more energy efficient. But this has been offset, more than offset, because things are growing, by the increase in demand. So yes, your car might be more efficient, get more miles per gallon of fuel, but you might drive it more, and there might be more of these cars. For example, when aircraft become more fuel efficient, the price of flying drops, so people fly more. If a car of a given size uses less fuel, maybe you'll buy a bigger car. There's certainly a major problem with car obesity in Australia. The average size of cars has grown much bigger over the last 20 or 30 years. So all of this means that transport is a hard thing to decarbonise. And of course there are many other problems with transport, quite apart from the carbon dioxide emission. Roads are deadly. Around 1.5 million people die every year in car accidents around the world. And another 2 million, roughly speaking, die because of the pollution from all these cars. You can look at the deaths per billion passenger kilometres. Planes are extremely safe, railways likewise. Buses and coaches somewhat more dangerous if you're a passenger. Then cars are much more dangerous, and motorbikes and scooters very dangerous. But that's still, 3.5 million people dying a year. I mean, that's pretty bad. And then all this transport is giving noise pollution. There are planes going over, cars driving past, trains rumbling past. This causes sleep loss, heart disease, learning problems in children. Many of us living in cities live in a constant barrage of noise. And things are congested. Airports are congested, ports are congested, and traffic is particularly badly congested in major cities. A typical driver in London spends about 150 hours each year stuck in traffic. Australia's not so bad, but in Sydney or Melbourne you're talking about 60 hours per year stuck in traffic. That's pretty bad. And things are slow. Typical airline speeds have not changed in 60 years, and the travel speeds in major cities have also not changed. In a major city, because you're in all this traffic congestion, typical speeds on average are below 20 kilometres an hour. In principle, your train or your car can go faster than that, but if it's stuck in traffic or waiting at stations, it may not be improving things very much. So, our current transport system is slow, polluting, dangerous. Any other problems? Well, another problem is just how much land these things use. Um, Over 50% of the downtown land in the United States is devoted to cars. Here's a picture, and you've got the roads. Roads themselves occupy about 30% of the land in many cities, but then you've got the car parks, the parking lots, and all the servicing facilities and everything else. And before long, you find that most of the land is not given to people, it's given to cars. It's dangerous for you to even walk on it. Once upon a time, kids could play everywhere in the streets, run around. Now there's all these dangerous areas which are given over to cars. So just imagine how much of the housing problem could be solved if we could liberate this huge amount of land being given over to driving on and parking on, and use some of it to actually put houses or parks or generally make it more pleasant. So our transport situation is very far from ideal at the moment.